Welcome back. My name is Larry Gerndt, and this is Emerging Truths. I'm sorry again that I was gone so long. Got some changes I made to the studio, and I'm just lazy. I don't know what to say these days anymore. Because it's we're in a lull, and I'm kind of depressed about that. I mean, in the disclosure realm, right? So let me cut this music. So I want to do more shows, and I've got a lot of things on my mind. I've been taking notes down, and I could show you some of them to show you what I'm thinking about, but I guess I could just tell you too. Trying to think about what the next show should be about. But first, let me tell you about tonight's show. Tonight's show is going to be a play of the recorded interview that I was featured on Thomas Fessler's channel on his show called Disclosure Tonight, which I watch religiously myself. A really good source of information. He always covers the right things, seems to me. He's covered all the right documents, and he's had Lou on the show at least once. Lou Elizondo, really amazing. And Danny Sheehan was with him. And this was quite a few months ago, but really amazing that he got those people, and Danny Sheehan especially. And highly recommend his channel. And he had me on for an interview, and my regulars will know most of the stuff I talked about. You'll hear me say it again, but I just thought you might want to see the interview because it's like I'm in a different context, right? It's like maybe after seeing this, knowing that someone else would have me, you'll be willing to marry me. I do love y'all. I really do. I love humans, but oh man, we all hate them too, don't we? Certain ones, right? So yeah, when things get cleared up for all the world, it's going to be a wonderful time. I'm going to do a story on how the lion could lay down with the lamb, and it probably won't be a big segment, but maybe 15 minutes. But it's a good idea to think about, because it is written that the lion shall lay down with the lamb, and that was a prediction supposedly made by God, and I really love that sentiment there, because we all love animals, and even the carnivorous ones, they have a beauty about them, but not when they're killing. And so it would be really nice if the killing was over. And I actually know how that could work reasonably. And I'll tell you about that next time, along with a bunch of other thoughts that I've been having. And I've got some guests coming up. One for sure is Karen, who you've seen before with the Tayuba prophecy. I really want to do a lot more shows than I've been doing, but I've just been too lazy. That's all. And, it's a roller coaster ride. Disclosure is everything for me right now. I mean, it's like you've heard me say that I'm tying the whole thing up with Jesus and everything. I really do believe that Jesus is coming back with extraterrestrials as part of his entourage, and probably many humans. He remarked upon the population of the kingdom of heaven, and he said that, let me tell you about John the Baptist. Among men born of women, there is no finer has arisen than John the Baptist. But in the kingdom of heaven, he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than John. So that seems to imply that the kingdom of heaven has beings which were not born of women. Okay? Who would those be? Well, that would be the angels, Larry. Yes. They were not born of women because they are immortal. So it's a mystery who created them. And, to me, I think it probably comes down to, well, we'll just have to see. I just don't know on that one. I do know that it definitely sounds like the kingdom of heaven is full of really highly advanced and very respectable creatures who have love and goodwill and are very wise. And so he, in fact, advised us to have the humility, the appropriate humility when we enter in, because we're going to be like little babies compared to the stature of the people that are there. So it's a mystery about the composition of the kingdom of heaven, but that mystery will be revealed to us sometime soon, hopefully, before we die. We only have to wait for one lifetime, regardless, right? Our own lifetime. When we pass, we'll know. But without further ado, let me just go ahead and play this interview for you. I think you'll enjoy it. And let me switch over. And here we go.
Yeah, tonight we've got a different person coming in today. Yeah, we've got Larry Gurnt. Let me go ahead and, if I can, take this music, bring it down. Well, if you don't know Larry Gurnt, I don't know him that much either, but we're going to get to know him really quick here. Larry Gurnt has been in our chat for the longest time. Larry and I resonate on many different things. He's got his own YouTube channel. Larry, if you could share a link to it in the chat, that would be great. That way, anyone who wants to subscribe, they can always also hear some good information coming from you as well. On that note, without any further ado, let's watch the frame rate drop as I bring up Larry Gurnt. Larry, how you doing, my friend? Happy frickin' Friday. Did you think
doing great?
Did you think we'd make it?
Thanks for having me on, Tom. You told me to call you Tom.
Yeah, that's fine.
So since Tom King is not on tonight, I think I'll go with that.
Yeah, we can do that.
But I like Thomas as well.
Yeah.
Because Thomas is a good boy.
Yeah, but when I was a little kid, I told you the story earlier, the only time I was called Thomas is when I heard my mother screaming my name, saying, "Thomas Lee Fessler, get your ass over here." And then she'd call me a son of a bitch, and I'd get a really big grin on my face, followed by a slap. But
did she do it like Tom and Jerry? Thomas.
No, she wasn't doing that. It was
she just a pair of legs? We didn't see the rest of her.
She wasn't a pair of legs and a pair of arms, and she wasn't Mammy. That's a fact. Brandy Phillips is back as well. Thanks for coming in, Brandy. Great having you here. So, Larry, we've communicated many times back and forth in the chat. We resonate on many different parts of disclosure.
Yes.
I got to ask you the question, what got you involved in the whole part of disclosure and opened your eyes to it? And more importantly, gave you that inspiration to have a live stream and start, it being more involved in it?
Yeah, so my brother was a devout Christian, and he's 12 years older than me, and he kind of pushed me into it, and I didn't like it. And my sister, on the other hand, was 15 years older than me. So as you can tell, and that's my family. So I'm kind of like an afterthought, and I'm right between those two
Yeah.
in my my views of things.
Yeah.
My sister hates the Bible because it's very patriarchal, and she's just not interested. I mean, I could tell her that I made a major discovery, and I would get all excited about it and tell her, and she knows the story of Adam and Eve, for example. But it's just not. I was just talking to her the other night, and she just goes, well, that might be true.
Yeah. Sounds
And
like my
so
sister a bit. I
that's
understand that one.
as far as I can get with it. But my brother, on the other hand, he's a great Christian, but he doesn't proselytize except for me, and he did when I was younger, and I tried to pick it up, but it didn't make sense to me. And then I had an experience which I will not get into here, but it gave me a lot of time, and I decided I'm going to pick up that damn Bible, and I'm going to think about the ancient alien theory, which I was very into. And it was really, I mean, this is when Ancient Aliens was starting to pick up, and
Yeah.
I was really fascinated with the idea. But they mostly talked about, the pyramids may have been built by, extraterrestrials, and I definitely went along with that. But they didn't often talk about, hey, we ourselves may very well be the product of extraterrestrial genetic engineering.
Bingo, because I've said that many times. You've heard me say it. If you want to go ahead and see an alien hybrid, look in the mirror, potentially. Because, the Christianity, as I learned as being brought up as a Catholic, was that humans were created. We didn't evolve, which kind of comes into it. Yeah, we were created by God, but may have been something else these days as we learn more about it and time goes on.
Exactly. I'd like to speak to that point. There was a contactee who, I don't know who it was, but he asked an ET, what is evolution real? I almost forgot. Is evolution real? And the ET responded, evolution is real, but life on Earth did not evolve naturally.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with that. And I think what you just said is exactly correct, that we were genetically engineered by a race of beings called the Elohim, which is the word for God in the Old Testament.
Right. Which there's some of that actually has been discussed coming from the Anunnaki as part of the old Sumerian text, which was great because they were written in clay. So it wasn't easy. Once they put the words in there, it can't go back and erase it and change it out. It's set in clay permanently.
Yes. And there is a perfect parallel of the story of Noah's Ark in the Sumerian literature.
Yeah.
So there's no question.
The book of Enoch, right? The story of Enoch? I think it was Enoch.
No, I was saying in the Sumerian.
In Sumerian, I think it was the story of Enoch.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah.
But I mean, remember that detail where Noah sent out a twig, or no, Noah sent out a bird, and the bird came back with nothing, and then he sent it out again and came back with nothing, and finally it came back with a twig, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that very detail is in the Sumerian literature as well. So that tells me that, okay, these are definitely the same stories. Now, a lot of people are saying, yeah, so the Bible is just a rehash of the Sumerian literature. Well, I think the truth is that the Bible, early Genesis, for example, the first couple of chapters are written by someone else, and they're much, much older. And then only a couple chapters in, the newer stuff starts. So you find in the older stuff that, God is, the Elohim are speaking in the plural, because they are a plural. That's the word. Elohim is a plural for God, right. And it means gods, or the powerful ones, all that kind of stuff. But the Bible simplifies things by saying that the creator of heaven and earth is the same as this Yahweh figure, which appears in the Old Testament. And that's just, in my opinion, not the truth. And it's been a source of major confusion for us in the modern age. And now in the older age, I don't think it was confusing to them because, they had a concept of God, and God was doing the major miraculous things. And so that was God. And the only question is, why did did they try to make us believe that they were God? And the creator of the universe. And you find in the book of Job that he's actually, the Yahweh is actually boasting. This is another very old text, but he's boasting about how strong he is because he created something like the Leviathan. And I just don't see this guy as Yahweh as anything other than an extraterrestrial who was trying to start and create a nation of priests. That was his goal, and that's why they were called the chosen people, because he chose them, and he gave them, I think, a little bit of extra genetic DNA smartness, because I think they're just a little bit smarter than the rest of the humans, but not enough that they would be in a different league. And that was the people, but the plan really didn't work, did it? I mean, it's not really a nation of priests, unless, if you want to take this strange long turn here, comedians, the best comedians are Jewish, right? I mean, and where does the truth come out today besides Disclosure Tonight? It comes out in comedy.
Yes. How many times must I tell you? It's about comedy. Jackie Mason, a lot of them. I worked with a lot of Persian Jewish guys back in the day, and maybe that's one of the reasons I talk with my hands so much and love to talk. It's just, very great comedians. I agree with you.
Yeah. So, I think when disclosure occurs, the question is, and a lot of people are saying that it will destroy religion. And the reason they're thinking that is, I think, because they think that if ETs demonstrate the same kind of miracles that we read about in the Bible, then I guess they were God.
Yeah. But here's the thing. There's maybe a chance a bit more that it could have a greater effect on something like Christianity rather than something like Hinduism, what do you call it? Oh God, I'll leave it at that. Hinduism, for that matter, because there's a lot of that talk of the multiple gods, of the entities being in these ships that are flying in the sky, of different makeups and colors and everything else. It's an amazing thing that, that religion potentially may have an easier time with it than something more of the Judeo-Christian area of it. Although it would probably more of Christianity, you would have more an issue with it than anything. But either way, it's all right if we get a little bit of clarification or things to come in, because we don't have to change all of our belief systems. The teachings of Jesus or the teachings of any of these particular prophets do have a very similar dialogue, very similar beliefs. And you can see across many of the religions we have out there that, that there's a similarity. There's a base of similarities that are out there. And granted, there are some differences going along it, but we tend to focus in our religion on how things are different from ours and how bad it is that it's different versus seeing all the things that actually make us similar and bring us together. We're seeing the same thing in ufology today, where it's fracturing, where there's these little bit different belief pods where we all have this basic knowledge. We have to remember and bring together. The federal government is our enemy, not our fellow man who's trying to get to the truth. Right, Larry?
Exactly.
I've got a question here.
The other night when I said in the chat that, by the way, am I clipping? Am I sounding?
No, you're sounding fine. No, you're sounding great.
Let's see. Okay, I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, either way, we got a quick question for you here. From George Hernandez, how do we integrate this in today's ufology? I have an idea, but I'd like to hear Larry's take on it, meaning some of the stuff you're talking about, the religious beliefs and how it kind of ties into some of the stuff we're learning today. Do you have a take on this?
Yes, I do. I think we can integrate it by, first of all, recognizing sort of a simpler picture, maybe, of what happened here. We have, like we said, we're theorizing that an extraterrestrial race created us, and they've been watching over us. And then they had a plan, which was to send Yahweh here. That's the Old Testament God, and create a nation of priests. And that didn't really work out. They didn't end up being a very good nation of priests. But he did lead them, through the wilderness. And that whole trip, by the way, was just packed full of extraterrestrial type of evidence there, high technology, which is just amazing. But I'll pass on that for now. Get back to that maybe. But if we think of Jesus as sort of the second attempt, and it was really, I don't really understand what happened up there where they make those decisions, but he was completely different than Yahweh was, and he didn't even endorse him at all. All he said was, in fact, he mocked him at one time. He said to his disciples, "What kind of God would, when asked for food, give you serpents?" And actually, Yahweh did that one time. He was at times very spiteful, it seemed. He just was not happy with the way things were going. So Yahweh wasn't. So I think somewhere after Sinai, he just pretty much pulled out and spoke through the prophets, and that was it. Then Jesus comes along, and he's completely different. What is he? He's born to a virgin. So I'm going to say that he is half Elohim. Okay, so he's got something extra that we don't have. He had something, but it wasn't something that didn't make him human. It was more like just a good telepathic connection. That's my guess, to his father. And was his father the Old Testament Lord? I don't think so. Don't think so at all. So who was he? Is his father God? And you would like to think so, because we've already just axed the first God that we thought was God, which was Yahweh, and we're saying no, that wasn't God, the creator. So was Jesus' father the creator? And I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you something that makes me doubt that. And that is that he spoke with an audible voice in the New Testament 3 times. And one time it was when he was pulling away with Moses and Elias on top of the mountain in a cloud. The cloud was departing, and the voice comes out, "This is my beloved son, hear him." And the other 2 times that he spoke, he said this same thing again somewhere else. And then the 3rd time he spoke was when Jesus was praying. There was a bunch of people around, and so Jesus said, Father, started out saying, "Father, glorify thy name." And this voice interrupts and says, "I both have and will again." And so those were the 3 times that God spoke. I can tell you this. I don't know if that's God, but he's good enough to be my God, that Father of Jesus. And I know that the offer has been extended to us that he would like to be our father. So that's fine. I'd be happy to have him as my God. I just don't know or think that I could have a conversation with the creator of the universe, like that happened down there when he was here.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? Do you think that was God?
I don't know, because the one time I did try to remote view God, I figured, you know what, if you've got abilities and you have stuff, until you get in trouble, keep on going with it. Push the envelope. And one of the, this is back in end of 2019, before 2020, I decided to go ahead. I was kicked back to my recliner, brought myself down the level, got up I passed through the 3rd eye into the crown chakra area, blew up the overall, what do you call it? Bright, the colors of the crown chakra. For me, it's a very bright purplish color. and got that up, surrounded me. I started bringing in the white energy from the source to go ahead and image stuff and everything. And all of a sudden it goes from that to pop, and I'm out of body and I'm in full color. And it's not like the usual stuff that I'm in. And it'd been a while since I've been out of body. I'm like, what the, where the hell, where the fuck am I? And I look around and I'm in a walled city that's hanging in the clouds because there's a path in front of me that I'm standing on made of these giant white marble blocks. The walls of the city that I'm in are like this creamish color, and along the top of it is this reddish brown kind of a painting or whatever it is that goes along with it. And there's a bunch of towers that have gold topped and adorned spires on top of it. And in the center, I've got a couple, beams and everything of what do you call it, like giant supports made out of marble as well on a circular staircase going up about 8 or 10 stairs. And at the top of it, standing between the two pillars, was a short little Indian guy, dark in complexion. I think he kind of had like a beard and stuff. And he was wearing this deep red, not a bright red like I'm an IKEA worker at this point, which goes along with the yellow from the super chat coming from Daryl Zernick. Now I'm an IKEA commercial completely. But he's standing there looking at me, and I'm just like looking around saying, holy shit, where the fuck am I? And I'm looking at this guy and I'm looking at him, and he's kind of looking back at me, and I'm like, I raise my hand and I go to wave at him, and he smiles and then he waves back. And I was just like shocked because it had been a while since I'd been out of body, not only out of body, but having someone else there recognize me and wave back. And then I was like, and I popped out and I was back in my corner. I was like, son of a bitch. No, not today. And the funny thing is, born and raised Catholic, I go to reach out to God, and I get sent to Shambhala, and I'm probably seeing the 10th carnation of Vishnu face to face. Now, this is either something that was telling me of a time of where we're at and what's going to move forward, and this is a symbolic visitation that I did, or I got sent to tech support in India, one or the other. But
it's very true. God was too busy for you. He just put you on hold. You ended up at tech support.
And he waved. So
yeah, and it was
contact.
Yeah, it was contact, and it's just something that's there, and it's something that's unexpected. I didn't expect that kind of stuff to happen. It did, but it's kind of like, okay, I can deal with it. It could have been a hell of a lot worse. So, we try to do things. We try to understand what's around us. We look at at many different forms of religion, and you look at them. It's a control system. Like if you look back in time, we've actually got, it's almost like an early form of government that was universal all over the place. Exactly. We're able not just to control, but also monetize it really well, better than super chats these days, I tell you.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, our history on that. But
I know.
Religion, let me make this point. Religion is way different than what I'm into. Religion is a club. They drag you in by saying, Jesus died for your sins. You kind of owe him. And hey, don't you want a better life? Come to our church. And it's a club, and they sing their praises, and they have their, and that, I have nothing against that, but that's not, the trouble is out of that audience captured pastor, you have doctrine that is stale, unthought through, and not helpful anymore to our advancement. So that's why I don't like religion. It's full of shit. So
coming from a Christian, I will take that.
Yes, and I am a Christian.
Yeah.
But what does that mean? Well, I don't take the Jesus died for your sins thing, because I don't think that makes sense. I don't think we have a God that needs to punish his only son in order to pay for sins that supposedly we have committed, that we deserve to be on that same cross. Instead, he took our place. That's just a bunch of bullshit. I thought through that for many, many years.
You hear that, Rob?
Trying to accept it and make sense out of it. Talked with my brother, and it just doesn't come true. I'll tell you what I think is the truth. The truth is that his mission was to do two things. And by the way, I'm Christian centric, but like you said, there's all kinds of religions, and I'm not here to say that my religion is better than any other religion. What I'm interested in is people's hearts and
Bingo.
my own heart and getting better. But anyway, so where were we on this? Died for sin. No, so what I think his mission was to come here and explain to the Pharisees and the leaders how they have completely screwed things up by being so hypocritical and making a business out of it.
Oh, yeah.
That was number one.
Go
Okay,
ahead,
number
do all
two-
your different sins, give us your money, and we'll forgive them, and it's okay. No karma at
Exactly.
all.
Exactly. And then you're set free. You can go and do it again.
And again,
Done
and trust me, the priest did.
Yeah, they should. Oh, God. I'm sorry, Thomas.
Oh, it's okay. I have to bring that. You just got to have fun with it. Sometimes you have to take some of the horrible things and just kind of laugh at it because, yeah.
But look at the person you are, man. I would not mess with your life if I had the chance, because I see what the product is, and right now it's working out pretty good for you.
Oh, yeah. And
So
it wasn't me.
that-
It was my brother who got that. But then I got the hand-me-downs from my brother, thanks to what they taught him in the church.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That happened.
That's kind of like me. So what I think, guys, think about this, that Jesus was sent as sort of a correction. But no, that's not the main point. The main point is that he was sent here, believe it or not, it's a surprising fact, but I think he was sent here to show the world that there was an afterlife. And the question then would be, well, didn't the Old Testament talk about an afterlife? I mean, wasn't that already established? And I'm telling you, no, it wasn't. Their concept of afterlife in the Old Testament was eternal rest in the bosom of Abraham. And so they didn't really believe that, you had a real life like this life in your afterlife. But Jesus then painted a different picture, and it kind of goes with that announcement when he was born, right? They said, good news, everybody, something really wonderful is going to happen. You're going to have this Savior, Jesus. And so the announcement was like goodwill towards men. I don't know. It seemed like the announcement was, hey, we're going to tell you guys that eternal life is a real thing, and we're going to prove it. And I think that's what his mission was to get here and do his 3 years of preaching, and then prove to the world by dying and then being resurrected that there is such a thing as life after death, and it should be the thing. It's such a beautiful place that it should be your goal to try to make it into. That's kind of what his message was, and he kept stressing, the spiritual over the physical every time he had a chance. So why did it have to be crucifixion? I'll just close on this. I had a question on that. Well, why did it have to be crucified? And of course, the Christians say, well, it was because he was taking our place on the cross, and that God, he took on all of our sins, and then God punished him, and so you don't have to be punished because he took your punishment, and that's the story we're told. I think it had to be crucifixion because there had to be no doubt that he died. There's a lot of talk, in fact, right now from Paul Wallace and others that maybe he didn't really die, and maybe that's how he resurrected. I think that's uncalled for. I mean, he raised Lazarus from the dead, if you believe that, and Lazarus was dead longer than he was. And so I think that those above us have that power. His Father has that power to resurrect. And so it had to be crucifixion because there would be no argument. Everyone's going to see him because it's crucifixion. Everyone's going to come out and see that they jabbed a spear in his side and the sky darkened and the guy was dead. And so that was the mission, was just to show that and prove that there is eternal life. None of this died for your sin stuff. That was all later. And, it became a business as soon as that was introduced.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel. That's how I feel about things. I hope I haven't.
Unfortunately. So no, I was born and raised Catholic. I went through all the different sacraments that are out there, and then some. My great aunt, though, was a nun from the Order of the Holy Heart or something like that. She was a nun from Poland, and where was just like she came from Poland to come and visit a couple times, and she was like in the 4 layers of black all the way down, the full habit and the whole thing. She went to
Oh,
the
wow.
church here and she saw the nuns, and it's like, no, this isn't the church. Where the hell am I? But
Hmm.
she was also, she had the gift of not just religion, she had the gift of foresight. She had the ability, and she, although she was a Catholic nun, she told people's future with cards that she kept in this little black velvet kind of a thing, a little pouch that she would bring out. Not that they were necessarily tarot cards, but
Hmm.
she was from that area of Poland where a lot of the Bohemians were from, the gypsies and everything like that. And it was part of the culture and everything that was all,
Hmm.
into it. My sister, she's a deacon at a Catholic church down in near Peoria, Illinois. So, my mom was heavily involved in the charismatic Catholic movement back in the day. And thank God my mom is the one who actually took me to civil mind control, just kind of opened my mind and consciousness. And that's where one of the things are that a lot of religions tie into is we have this ability, we have this consciousness that we all are part of. In Christianity, they call it spirituality. And on more different areas, it's the same thing we're talking about. But the most important thing about it, it's about our direct relationship between us and the energy, the source, God, whatever you want to call it, consciousness, and going beyond it. And it's not like you have to go to someone, you have to go to a building and pray
Hmm.
through something to go ahead and connect. Granted, there's
Right.
this programming that when we're all together, we've got this connection that we don't understand. And that's what brings a lot of people into religion. But as you've seen a lot of things we've had a lot of televangelists and people with their crystal cathedrals and big
Yeah.
places where they bring everyone together, and they make a lot of money. And it turns out a lot of the people who run all these big organizations tend out being very corrupt and not quite the people you would want to have representing those groups of people. But they do it in a way that the people are blinded by
Hmm.
this consciousness, this spirituality that they're connecting with, that they can't see. They're blinded by the light of what's truly around them.
Well, they're probably going there to assuage their sins,
Yeah.
so that they can go out and do them again.
Yep.
Um, and I think there's some goodness to that. There's the willingness to be able to look at yourself and say, that was wrong. I'm embarrassed about that.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, and that's one of the greatest things men can do
Yeah. Quick question
to
coming in
evolve.
for you from Paco Diaz. Coming from a Catholic family, Larry, what's your opinion on the Virgin Mary's portrait or manifestations that, have been seen around the planet by many different people? Do you have any thoughts on
Well, it
that?
started with Fatima, right?
Yeah.
It started with Fatima, and I certainly believe that story. I don't remember if she actually identified herself as Mary, the mother of Jesus, but I think the children believed that she was. And she's just spoke about what I can't remember. I mean, there was a secret, and I don't think that secret has ever been revealed to us. The secret might be that UFOs and extraterrestrials are related to Jesus. But there again, there's a lot of different ETs out there, right? And none of them have identified themselves as being the original race that engineered us. And I'm looking for where are those ones? Because there's so many different ETs out types out there. We have to be careful when we attribute any kind of quality to them because they're all different.
Right. And
So
the
I can't
biggest
say
thing
ET.
is they're alien. They're not
Yeah.
human. They're non-human. It's a non-human intelligence. So the biggest thing we have to do is we can't go ahead and overlay and put like human. All right. Sorry, my light just decided to go ahead, and
I saw that.
that was a sign. Okay. We can't just go ahead. Now, where was I at? And go ahead and take these human qualities and put them on these alien beings because they may not have compassion. They may not have love in the way we think of it. They may not have these emotions that we're dealing with. It could be a completely different understanding or consciousness system or communication system that we don't really understand. We could be the zoo. We could be the farm. We could be the garden. We don't know. And their relationship to us and everything has been kept from us, potentially even just from the government and what they've learned over the last 75 years, that they've been so damn headstrong about going and keeping us away from the truth because they're afraid of what it could do to government. But more importantly, it's the people of what they're thinking of what potentially it could do to religion. And these are the ones in the Pentagon who are Christians. So they're afraid for their faith based on the information that they've learned.
Yeah. In fact, I just covered the two things that I heard Lou talk about was, well, there was sort of three categories of people in the Pentagon. One category was that they just didn't want to talk about it. I think they like the one guy that one of his superiors tried to change the subject about how the Miami Dolphins were doing when they started talking about ET. So that was one category, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other category of people in the Pentagon are religious zealots, and I don't know how many of them there are, but one of them said, you shouldn't be investigating these things. Haven't you read your Bible, Lou? These things are demonic. Paraphrasing. So we should not be investigating them because that's just going to give them power, and then they're just going to come and fuck everything up.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with you? Can't you tell that they're demons? I mean, that's, so that's what they're teaching, and they're going to continue to teach that in church. Why? Because it's a threat to their own paradigm, right?
Right.
Everything that they've been preaching, they don't want to be wrong about stuff. So, and they're going to be, and they're going to look a little bit foolish. And this maybe relates to what Jesus was saying when he said that many will come to me in the end on the last day and say, but didn't we blow up abortion clinics in your name? And didn't we do all these things for you? And he'll say, depart from me.
I just have to say this, though. You brought up the A word. I'm not going to delve into it, but I had one belief when I was younger. But after the whole thing of consciousness and the thought about reincarnation and all the different stuff kind of was going on, my whole view on all of that really freaking changed. I hate to say it.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. We all go through, life is a journey. We're not trees. Our roots aren't stuck in one place. We have the ability to go this direction or that direction, depending on the information we have, what we learn, what we come to know. And imagine if we're trying to get a whole bunch of things down to the planet through consciousness, through reincarnation, and we've got to get him to Earth. We get him to Earth on the way there. Poof, he's gone. Up, we got to try him again, put him back at the front of the queue again, and keeps on recycling and try and get the right consciousness down to the planet to make us be able to get to that next level where a lot of people have talked about, where we're at that phase of going from the third level of a vibratory, if you want to call it, existence onto that fourth level. And they're having a hard time getting there.
Well, I mean, there's no shortage of babies.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you're saying that it's a problem because some people are aborting. And therefore,
we just don't know.
They can't get the consciousness down. But I'm saying there's no shortage of babies.
Oh yeah.
So I don't see the abortion thing as I don't think that's like going to thwart the plan of our evolvement. But the
thing is, we don't know. I mean, they're taking skin cells, right, from humans. They're putting them in an ammonia bath and other stuff. There's stem cells. And they're going and they're creating these little brain organoids, which are now getting to a point where these brain organoids are actually growing frickin' eyeballs and these little brains in this gel. And then the activity within the brain at the point where they're going and saying that they're actually terminating these things, which I don't believe that for a fact. I think they're taking it even further, as at a point of a brain activity of a premature baby that was just born. So it's kind of they're getting to that point of creating, not in their own way, life in the human brain, which is an important part of all of us, where the seat of consciousness could be the Claude A. Putnam that Gary Nolan has been talked about for a lot. That what's going on with that? It just kind of opens our eyes and trying to say, my God, what is science doing? Where are we getting towards? But we're getting into that where our knowledge is getting so high that we're having the ability to go ahead and create on that particular level, which is a scary thought in its own right.
Well, what scares me, Thomas, is that this reversal of Roe versus Wade it feels like the Handmaid's Tale to me. It feels like we're heading towards religious fascism, and I'm sorry, but that's what it feels like when you tell people what they can and can't do with their bodies, or what plants they can and can't ingest.
Yes.
You've got a fascist control, and I'm against that.
Yeah. Well, it's either one fascist hand or the other one these days. You've got the ones on the other hand saying this side over here is fascist, but the other side is acting fascist in its own right. So it's a matter of, again, putting aside our differences, trying to find that commonality. And what the great thing about what's going on with everything and trying to bring out the truth of what's going on in the sky, what the UFOs are up to, what's happening, a lot of that is all coming from both sides of the aisle. It's not red. Yeah. Well, this is the first time I've worn red. It's not blue. It's purple. It's both sides. It's both sides finding that ability to come together. And hopefully that is the first piece to bring both sides together. And from there, great things can bloom and we can move forward in a new way.
I think it's the only way forward, Thomas. And I think that, I don't know if we need to have a false flag, like maybe the ETs could do us a favor by pretending to attack us, and then that would unite us all, and then they would, toss out the joke at the end that
I think what we've got,
we weren't really against you.
I think what we've got going on right now is that we've got the government setting up a false flag, meaning they're going to try and say that what we're dealing with now is a start of an alien invasion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something that they're here to attack us. There's a threat to our national security. I mean, we just had
to get more money. Yeah.
John Greenwald from the Black Vault. I'm sure you've heard of him in the past. I've talked about him many times in negative, but I've kind of, come into the center. Even Ross Coulthart now is actually he's actually thanking Greenwald for some of the stuff he said lately with regards to his rebuttal for some of the stuff on Lou, which is important to hear that we're finding ways for us all to be able to come together on this. And it's just an interesting situation where it's all going, that we've got, again, fractions of different things that are happening. But again, that talk about the alien threat going on, the need for foreign governments to come together, to go ahead and come together on a military basis to talk about these threats versus, we'll get at this in a second. There's a video that came out today that was on the Today Show, and I believe it's the head of the frickin' Air Force. Let's see if I can find this one in my Twitter feed. I can bring it up here. Let's get past that. Nope. There it is from CBS this morning. Let me go ahead and bring this up. This is the Air Force Secretary Frank Kendall says about UFOs. Let me jump into the studio and figure out. There we go. Let's go ahead and let me change this here so I don't need to worry about getting a filter here. I don't have to put on the color correction. Let's go ahead and watch this. I think you'll find this pretty freaking interesting. Let's move this over so we can see a little bit more. Let's go ahead and play this here now. Just a 46-second clip.
There's military video of aviators who have seen things that cannot be explained, right? And there's an active investigation. I think the worry is not that it's little green men, but that it's another country with technology that we've not seen before.
So here we've got them saying that, hey, wait a minute. We're going to go ahead and take the thought about UFOs and everything that's been said. Even Lou Elizondo's come out recently, and Sean Cahill, and behind-the-scenes conversations where, if you want to call Jeremy McGowan, is try to take them and throw them both underneath the bus and take a lot of personal time that was spent with Lou and Sean and take the conversations and use it against them. But the one thing that McGowan said that both Lou and Sean were very, very strong on, absolutely, that none of this is humans. It's not our technology. It's not Russia. It's not China. It's the non-human intelligence.
This guy didn't get the memo.
This guy did, because he's from the Air Force. Remember the
introduction? The introduction that he just said, he goes, I don't think that the worry is that they're little green men. I think that the worry is that they're from one of our adversaries. Well, that's already going against. I think that was your point, wasn't it?
Well, no, not really. This guy here who said that, right?
Yeah.
He's reading from a teleprompter.
Okay.
The information that he's reading and talking to the audience, it's not his thoughts. It's the writer's thoughts, what the studio approved and everything. So he's going from what the production told him to go ahead and say. Right. And he's going, and let's go ahead and rewind that a little bit, and let's get into this. Now, remember, the Air Force was created back in 1947, right after Roswell, for a reason. Yep. It was there to investigate and figure out what are these things in the sky, what are they up to, and the Air Force time and time again says, not a threat. Now, let's hear what this guy says, and let's continue on with this little piece.
That it's little green men, but that it's another country with technology that we've not seen before. So from where you sit, are UFOs a real issue?
To be quite honest, not for me. I have real threats that I worry about every day.
Let me pause that for a second so you can see his name. The person who we're seeing right now is, let me get it back on here. We're not seeing it as he's the Secretary of the Air Force, basically. Frank Kendall. Well, it's, is it Frank? Yeah, Frank Kendall. Let's continue
every day, and they're severe threats. I'm aware of, I don't have direct responsibility for investigating these phenomena. I've looked at the reports, I've seen what's been there. There are things that we haven't been able to explain, but I think that the important thing for us to do is do some real technical investigation of what they are and try to resolve these.
So again,
to be quite honest, not for me.
Are UFOs a real issue?
To be quite honest, not for me.
So are they an issue? Are they a real issue? If they were a threat to national security, if they were a threat to our government, to humanity, they'd be a concern to him, wouldn't they, Larry?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Did it again. I gotta love Twitter. If I don't...
That's the alternate version of the Britney hit. Oh, shit. I did it again.
Yo,
Okay.
To be quite honest, not for me. I have real threats that I worry about every day, and they're severe threats.
So he has real threats, and he has severe threats that he has to worry about, but UFOs are nothing, they're not a concern to him.
Or he doesn't believe in them.
Well, he's got the information.
How do you know he has it?
He's the secretary.
I mean,
he's the head of the Air Force.
Admiral Wilson didn't know.
Well, this is the head of the Air Force.
Even the head of the Air Force may not know.
He might not.
Well, that's a stretch.
That's a stretch. I would probably he's seen more things than any of the people in this audience, that any of the people that are out there that are interested in disclosure of what's going on. Now they're saying the head of the country may not know. Well, even if we told him, I'm not sure if he would know. Just at this point, just kind of where we're at. Idea.
Yeah, but I don't think they brief presidents anymore. I think that they did, and I think the Jackie Gleason story is true. With,
hey, Obama knew what was going on. He's let on.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
What did he? How do you know that?
Didn't say he outrightly asked, though. Perhaps you have to ask first.
I mean, that was the one when they asked the question to Biden. He's like, "Go talk to Obama." You know, go talk to Barack. He'll tell you. And Barack already did say about the different stuff. So there, there was a confirmation behind, in an indirect manner. But then as soon as he said that, he ran off the stage when he still had his earpiece in of people telling him what to say.
But that's a bit like, Mom, can I borrow £500? Go ask your dad. That's it's basically a way of going, go away, I'm busy.
True. We don't know where all we can do is speculate at this point, but we've got concrete words coming from the head of the Air Force saying, I am aware of, I don't have direct response. Well, what did he say again? To be really honest, not for me. And this is, again, coming from the Honorable Frank Kendall, who's the United States Secretary of the Air Force. And if there was a real threat, remember, we've got Lou Elizondo talking about it. You've got Ryan Graves. You've got a bunch of different people who were out there who kept on pushing off the threat. Well, I've always been the part of saying, if it's really a threat, show us. I really don't align with the whole threat narrative. And Lou has actually kind of backed off of that threat narrative just a little bit, which is a good thing, because
that's a good thing.
They may not be the threat that we think they are, or they want us to think that it is.
He didn't start with the threat idea. Hang on. And then it did creep in towards the end, and I don't know why. And now he's backing off a little bit more from it. And the government is, that second hearing that we had, that was a walk back. So I don't know I think everything's in flux right now. Like I said, there's like 3 categories of people in the Pentagon: true believers, religious people who don't want the truth to come out, for fear that it'll destroy the whole world, and then people who are just maybe aware of it but don't want to talk about it. And so
they don't want to talk about it. More importantly, the government is pushing back. Oh, really? You're going to give me that many ads? All right. Then it's not just there. We've got articles from
audience. That's karma there. You all have to sit through an ad before the stream starts. Tom just got attacked by ads.
No, I didn't get attacked by ads. There's an ad. There's an ad sitting at the front of it. Let me get back into here again. Oh, wait, it's way too big now. Now we have the Navy coming out. And John Greenwald is going back and forth with the Navy, and he's trying to go ahead and get some videos. There's 24 videos that they have to go along with these range follower reports, where there's videos going ahead and showing what the pilots were seeing and what was going on. And John Greenwald went and appealed, and actually it was even coming from the FOIA request process saying, we're going to go ahead and grant this and say that, you should go ahead and should get this information. But now the Navy is saying all UFO videos are classified, period, and releasing them will harm national security. That just doesn't make sense. How is it having showing a ship or whatever all these other people are seeing around the world that's going to affect our national security?
It's the religion thing. That's it. There's no other way that they could be thinking, other than the religious track there. I don't see any other way to come up with the conclusion that it'll harm national security.
What, and the people think that we don't have to listen to the government anymore because there's something bigger and we've never really been in control. But the thing is, we've never really been in control. If these things have been around for as long as we've never had air dominance. So we've never had dominance over what's in the oceans, what's over our country, what's over our air bases, what's over our ships, because they're just that advanced that they're just laughing at us saying, yeah, right, go ahead and try.
I love that point that you bring up about the near miss. I mean, I just loved that so much, and you're so right. When that sphere or cube within a sphere passed between 2 fighter jets within 100 feet, and they called it a near miss. It wasn't a near miss. These guys know what they're doing, and they wouldn't do anything to harm us. I don't think. And so when you talk about not being a threat, remember back in the Air Force went back in the 50s when they came out and said the same thing at the conclusion of their Blue Book. I think they said, there's a small fraction of our reports that may indicate that we don't really know what these things are, but we cannot really conceive of them as being any potential serious threat. So,
yeah.
So that's where we're at today. But that just is a great way of saying, let's just ignore these things.
Yeah.
And I mean, where is the excitement? Where is the Christ? We could have extraterrestrials here on Earth right now. And that is something we should investigate. If we're not alone, we'd like to find out. And they're fucking hiding it, and they have been for 70 years.
Right. Well, we've had SETI, which a lot of people in upper places, when I've described SETI as probably one of the biggest psyops that's been put on the American people or the people of the world, they've agreed. Why? Because, no, there's nothing out there in the skies here. There's nothing here.
Yeah.
We're the most advanced life that could ever have been on this planet. You know, God made us that way. There's nothing more advanced. You've got to look out way the hell out there in deep space for a civilization that probably died hundreds of millions, if not billions of years ago. And that's what we have to look for confirmation. It just doesn't make sense. But you know what? People buy it.
They do. They do.
Yeah.
And I mean, the ETs could play into that if they want to have fun with us, you know, like they did in the story of Contact, right? But I mean, they could indulge us in our little fantasies, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And I think they are. We're seeing them more. There's more of them around. They're making themselves more known in as far as over our Navy ships, over our boats around the world.
Really,
and it's almost like saying, hey, we're here.
Yes.
And we're going to make it really obvious that we're really here, and you guys cannot do shit about it. And we're here, we're queer, and you can't stop us, kind of a thing, you know?
Not only that, but we want you to tell the rest of the American public, you know, we're out here buzzing your ships in the middle of the ocean for a reason. You know, we want you to not be able to deny us. And yet we don't want to scare the whole country, you know, or the whole world, I mean. So we want to go through you, and we're not going to stop until you start telling the American public the truth. So I think they're driving disclosure. And I also like the theory that you brought up about, well, it's it's starting to be well accepted now that this might not be our planet. But what I wanted to say about that is that, you know, what I know from the Bible is that, and I don't know if this is, you know, true, but this is what the Bible says, is that, you know, and the book of Enoch, by the way.
But they don't say, they don't even lube you up first. They just ram it in there and don't even buy you dinner. Not cool. It's not in those books. Sorry. Just a comment from the audience.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it. Okay. But,
you're saying in the books that went back.
Oh yeah. So the state of the earth before the flood was in a horrible state, because the Nephilim children were giants, and they were hungry, and they were eating up everything in sight. And eventually, when food ran out, they started turning towards men. And so you had the fear of being eaten by a giant. And then you also had all these mixtures of human animal hybrids that the Nephilim created, seemingly just for the hell of it. I don't know what they were trying to do. And so when the flood came and wiped us all away, and Noah's name, by the way, means respite, which means like relief, you know. And so Noah, his very name was associated with the fact that they would have relief from this horrible world that the fallen angels had created. And so he promised him that there will be no animal on this planet that will not fear you. Every animal will have the fear of you. So it is your planet. You can eat whatever moves. And then he adds this weird thing: don't drink blood. Which, you know, hey, I never wanted to, but apparently maybe that was a habit in the old, you know, before the flood. Maybe the Nephilim had some tricks that they were teaching. I don't know, but
Yeah.
So what was my point on that? I think my point was that, was that maybe for now it was given to us, you know, to you know, maybe we're the 7th or 8th iteration of the Matrix. Who knows? But it was given to us for this time to be here. But now things need to progress, and they're not. They've been stuck. And like Tom King said, maybe none of this shit in the world would be happening right now if they had released the information and told the truth.
But if you look at if you look at man, Larry, we are freaking evil. We kill ourselves with war. We have horrible genocides. We destroy everything on the planet. We destroy the ecosystem. We destroy all of these different forms of life. We take all the resources from the earth and we're polluting it and we're poisoning it more. We've got stuff going on with the temperature being variable. If you go back 100,000, 200,000 years, you look back at the overall history of the atmosphere on this planet, it's been all over the place for a regular basis, but it's never been so poisoned in the past. We have to be careful of that for a lot of the things that are really going on. So it's just a matter of understanding what we're doing, seeing where we're at, and just knowing that, to a lot, you see a lot of actual love and companionship that goes from nature with good humans, but bad humans, man, we have a nasty history over time of doing horrible things, whether it's just to ourselves, to the lives of the ecosystem, and potentially now basically what could be going on is the reason the government doesn't want to get people involved is maybe they have this little secret war that they're actually fighting against the UAP or the UFOs, that they're trying to do it to get their hands on the technology so they can try and figure it out so they can use that for war. And if we did get the technology, we did get the ability to create this limitless energy, do you think the government or the military would take it and use it for saving the planet? No, they're going to use it to power their war machines.
Yeah. We're going to have to, I don't know the way out, man. I've been studying and thinking about this. One of the persons that I had on my show was a person who was studying the Tauba prophecy, which was an extraterrestrial revelation given to a contactee.
Yep.
And one of the things that his escort, Tao, said is that we give all of our power, we're so quick to give our power, our governing power, away to people who don't care about our interests. And we have to wise up and recognize that those people that we're letting control us don't have our best interests at heart. Maybe they did in the original design of the system, but they sure don't now. They're all bought out by the donors, and the donors don't want this truth to come out because they're going to lose everything. Because when the world changes and the ground shakes and the paradigm shifts, I think the money accounts are going to be kind of leveled. I don't know, but that would make sense to me, that the old things would fall away, and then they would be replaced by the new things like free energy and spiritual. The other thing Tao said is that we have become so materialistic that we've just completely lost our way with the spiritual journey, and I think that's true. I mean, but I think that we're salvageable, definitely, but we're an abused species too. And I really am starting to resonate with the idea that we may have been, in fact, designed as a slave race, because I see the evidence of it, that we're so willing to work so hard for these companies. But what choice have we got? We got to work our tails up until we die, or not have a place to live and go to jail. So, I mean, it's not easy.
And that's why I have the little saying that I've heard before in the past, and it just makes so much sense. We don't live to work. We work to live.
It's inspiring. I watch you do this show, and I know you're still working. I'm not. I'm 65, so I'm finally retired, and I feel like I just got out of jail. I had the same job you did. Thought it was the best job in the world, being a software developer. And in many ways it was. But if you have a bug and nobody else knows your code, when you come home that night, you're going to have to hit that bug after dinner. And so your whole life becomes, devoted to just to make sure that you still look like a good developer. And you are, but boy, it takes a lot of work. So anyway, I was in that same field, and my wife's giving me a thumbs up. She's going to bed. Okay. Anyway, She's watching the show. I
Excellent.
think she liked it. Yeah, I'll just cut it there.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things that we get into, and circling back to some of the stuff that's being talked about of where, where are we going to go to? Where's the next step of how we can move forward in this area of disclosure? There was a slide that Lou had put out in the past with regards to, let's see if I can get this thing. Oh, it's way too big. Let me shrink this down a little bit. It's going to be blurry as everything. Let me let me get over to here. Come on. Not that one. This one, let me shrink it down just, not that way. A little bit that way, bring it in. So what Lou was talking about in the past, man, it's just so freaking blurry. Sorry about this. Was the creation of a new federal or national laboratory, which seems a lot of this conversation has kind of gone, silent on it. But this was a really good conversation that Lou was having. This was end of last year before he took a break and then came back, and then all hell broke loose. And now he's not really doing what he was. But he was talking about an interagency, a federal lab, which involves NASA and NOAA and the Department of Energy. Should be NOAA, not NOAH. Spelling mistake. That's okay. International community, the UN, the European Space Agency, the IAEA, bringing in the academic community of universities, societies, and scholarships, tying together the scientific community of the National Science Foundation, the AMA, the International Science Council, bringing together the defense community, the services, the Futures Command, and DevCom, bringing in the intelligence community, which is the NRO, NGA, and the CIA, also the private sector. And he's also talked about the, if you want to call it, the technology community, which is like Silicon Valley, Google, and aerospace, big brother, big business, and everything, to try and figure out what's going on and everything in the UFO topic, because the DoD has had this locked up in their little special access programs, and we're back in 1947. Laws were passed that changed our government drastically. It basically put us in something that I often refer to as the national security state, because that's exactly what they did. They took away our rights for oversight, for control, for knowing what's going on, giving anyone in the government the ability to go ahead and say, this is a matter of national security, not giving any reason, just like what we were talking about with Navy says all UFOs videos classified, releasing them will harm national security. And they can call that national security bullshit. And because of that, the judiciary will say, oh my God, we can't do anything about this. This is national security. And they'll go ahead and they'll support it. But the truth of the matter is that their only reason they're doing this, opposite. They don't want to go ahead and let their little gem out of the bag, because we'll find out all the dirty deeds, all the dirty tasks they've been doing to the American people, the federal laws that have been broken, the different things that have gone on. And when they've got their hands that dirty, they don't want any information to come out. But now we have the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, the giant A for accountability, coming in saying, we want to know all of your shit going back to January 1st, 1947. And we've got new laws that they're not going to be able to prevent the information from coming forward. And they want to know what's gone on in the government, what's gone on in the private sector, what's gone on with different organizations. Now, one of the things that's been postulated is that some of the money that's coming from some of these programs is actually coming in from foreign entities to go ahead and obfuscate where the research and different things that are going on. But something like this, a new federal lab where we have this sharing of information, including with the general public, that's the only way we're truly going to understand and know what's going on with the phenomenon. Your thoughts, Larry?
Right. Well, but how do you, it looks like a pipe. This looks like something from the future where something really big happened and everybody decided that they're friends again. And all these governmental agencies are now really interested in UFOs. And really want to, find out the truth.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
Yeah.
Right now, we have active disinformation still. And so,
Which is them taking information that they know is wrong and is a lie, and they're actively spreading it like it's the truth.
yes, here's one of them. We don't know what they are.
They might.
That's a fucking lie.
Right, exactly. They know what hell. And here's the thing that I'll go off on this one more time that just really gets my goat is when I loved Representative Tim Burchett, but he basically, in the order of things he wanted to know about things from the government, what are these craft? How do these craft work? Who are the things in the craft, and why are they here? Wouldn't you want to go ahead and do it in reverse?
Yeah.
Why the fuck are they here? Who the hell are they? How do the hell, what are the craft and how do they work? But it seems to be, they want to know what the craft are and how they work so they can look at it from a defense and from not just a defense, but this is also for our government's offensive abilities for us to go ahead and attack others.
I know. And that's so sad and so depressing. The only way I know to topple everything is a general strike, and that means everyone just decides to quit working because they're tired of their government and they're tired of their jobs and they're tired of their lives and they're tired of the lies that they know are being fed to us. And so, and in a general strike, we would lose everything we have, but the big guys would lose everything. The Pentagon would lose everything. The big Lockheed Martin, all these companies would just completely die. And so, and life would start over again. And I don't know if that's the solution. That came from one of my guests and on a previous show. And I thought, well, that is probably the biggest show of power that we would have, that we're tired of things the way they are. Let me say this, Thomas. I wanted to say this earlier. They're saying it's a threat to national security, but I'm saying this country, this planet is on a dead end track right now. And it's declining, and it's declining quickly. We have in this country, we have the inequality that's not going to stop. There's not going to be any redistribution of wealth, and there's
unless you want to go to communism.
Everything's terminal, and it's dying. And so I think the only way forward is with the extraterrestrials coming out to us and us finding out the truth. I mean, we have to, whoever is running things, and we have to figure it all out. We have to be told. We don't know anything except from these remote viewers or whatever, or contactees. But I'm saying that's the only way out. It's national security. There's going to be no country to have national security for in about 10 or 20 years. Because people are going to rise up and revolt. We've had it. We're being squeezed like a what is that fruit that you can't get blood out of?
Oh, you can't get blood out of a turnip.
Or you can't get water out of turnip or something.
You can't get you can't get blood out of a turnip, kind of.
Blood.
Yeah.
I mean, that we're being squeezed. We're being shut out. I'm talking about the 99%. So. I mean, I think this is the way forward because the technology, for one thing, and that technology means decentralization. And when you have power, energy, I'm talking about, that is decentralized. Every home has its own power unit. Every city has its own power unit. Things can be decentralized, and that's the way it should be. Because when you've got unholy leaders in charge of billions of people, they make terrible decisions and things go to shit. So if you stay in small groups and then share the wealth, whatever you learn, share it with the next group over there, and we're all happy and we're all like that chart. We're all going to be working towards one thing. That would be great.
Yeah. Quick thing coming in from Jenny Wiper in the audience. She's saying, can you imagine how angry people will be when they learn of all the technology They were given with the promise people were to have it for free. Here's the thing, Jenny, that we may have not been given the technology. We may have been actively trying to shoot down or get the technology and take it from them and do whatever we can to get the technology for ourselves, not necessarily to get the technology and share it with everybody. But if we do look at the technology that's shared with everybody, well, look what we're doing right now with this live stream. You know, after 1947 happened, we got the transistor, not that much longer. We got the microchip. From there, we got all these advances that are just going faster and faster and just going up on the curve like it's crazy. We got optical fibers, we got Kevlar, we got all these different things. And like I've said it before, look at freaking quantum computers and it doesn't look human. It doesn't look technology. It doesn't look like anything. And more important, the cool thing about it is it's based on, you know, they're no longer just sending electricity. They're just sending all the different stuff with microwaves. And what do UAPs give off? Oh, yeah, microwaves. So you just have to look at some of the stuff that's out there and understand, yeah, there's some amazing stuff out there, but did we actually get it the right way? Or did we cheat by saying, did we covet our neighbors' wives or goods, whatever it is, and we wanted this stuff, so we did what we do to kill, to maim, to take, and then realize, oh shit, we killed them. We can't figure this crap out. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. I think, you know, Jenny might be thinking about Tesla because, you know, his promise was free energy for, you know, for everyone. So,
yeah.
And they certainly did shut him down.
Yeah.
He was a genius. He was like the Jesus of science.
Yeah, he figured out, I think it was with the mystery of 369, which is the mystery of the pyramids and everything. And unfortunately, he took that to his grave. Well, he probably didn't. The documents are probably there, but we're not allowed, the general public, to know. Interesting to say the least.
I'm tired of it.
Yeah,
I'm tired of it. I'll tell you another thing. You know, I personally feel that my life has been so shitty, even with that great job. I don't know why. You know, it's just been really tough, and I know some people have it tougher than me, and so I don't want to feel sorry for myself. But if there's any justice in the world, then before I die, the thing that's been burning in my heart for, you know, 30 years now, needs to come true. And I think it will. I think that's the message to me. I mean, I never heard clear words, but it sure felt like I was being told, you are here for, we have a Star Trek future.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe. And, you know, that was, who originally coined that? Was it Lockheed Skunk Works? I think it was. Well, he said, you know, the things you see in Star Trek, we have things that make Star Trek look like kindergarten. And this was a leak from Lockheed Skunk Works. It was the very last leak we ever had.
Yeah.
From there.
Unfortunately so.
Yeah.
But you know, Lou,
I think that's our future.
Lou has talked about some dirty dealings that have gone on with military contractors who have been given access to crash retrieval stuff. And that gave them an unfair advantage in a lot of different ways. And what would happen if the truth got out that did happen, and because of that, one of their competitors failed, and maybe they were acquired, like Lockheed Martin or other, you know, because Lockheed did absorb Martin. But we also had other parts of other defense contractors who didn't make it so much. So if that particularly did happen and the truth gets out on that, that's going to send rumblings not only through bringing out the truth, that's going to send rumblings through the financial markets to a degree, because we've got companies who have been in cahoots with the government getting access to stuff. And then that has given them an advantage where a lot of people lost their retirement. A lot of people lost their money who bet on it, but they lost their opportunity because not of fair competition. It was because unfair favoritism and backroom deals that gave them the access that they wanted or that they shouldn't have had.
Well, And going back to this national security threat, I mean, it seems like they're thinking religious is going to cause all the problems, but I think they might also be aware that the trust in their own government and trust in them as the government is going to fail, because they have kept this secret from us and told us we were crazy. And what have they been doing? How do they justify? I can see that for 10, 15 years, but how do they justify 70 years of this? So now you've got a situation where maybe people do give up on their religion. Maybe they use it as an excuse to say, oh, there is no God. I'm going to do what the fuck I want. Yeah. Maybe that'll happen. But I hope not,
Right.
But, if there would be no faith in God and no faith in religion, in government, what do people have faith in? And then the world just goes to pot. Right?
Now, one of the things that came to me, as far as I get a lot of I have a higher self that has a strong voice and always dumps information. And I've learned at a young age, whatever it says, go along with it, because 99.9% of the time it's usually right. And one of the things that came through was that we have to make sure that this doesn't become another religion. We have enough of those. It's caused enough problems, but it has to make sure that doesn't become another religion. Now, someone who used to be on that show twisted that against me, saying that, oh no, ufology is going to become the new religion. No, we have to make sure it doesn't become a new religion, because we've already have enough of those, and there's enough messes and fights and wars and people killing each other over this, that we need to kind of, well, Mike, you're saying distances ourselves from, to a degree, as we're going down that road. Yeah, Bill H says UFO cults are a problem. Well, we had that Heaven's Gate. It wasn't for a UFO. They thought they were going to get picked up by Comet Hale-Bopp, and they all took the Jim Jones route and moved on in their own way. But, there's cults in everything. There's cults in government. There's cults on ufology. I think it was, John Greenwald, who mentioned we have cults in all theology, in what were all the ones he had brought up? There's cults all over the place. And so we just have to look at that and know that really a cult is when someone is getting too much attention, too much listening to, following behind them, whatever they say, we're going to follow no matter what, and idolizing someone to a degree creates a cultish behavior. Was that right, Gary? I think we brought this up before.
Yes, it was. And my God, Pamela Anderson, who you are all welcome to join my cult, is very grateful for your acknowledgement. Thank you. All hail, Pamela Anderson. Thank you.
All hail.
Oh, Gary.
By the way, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Somebody peed in it.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid. There you go. And that is always a problem that we get to it. No, this is not the Fessler cult. This is just a bunch of people who like to come and hang out and talk together and be a part of something. And that's the one thing I like doing the most, is bringing forward the audience, because this isn't just about me. It's about each and every single one of the people in the audience, all the people in the chat. That's why I'm here to talk and communicate and everything, because I'm not trying to raise myself up to a level to get my own TV show or to drive around in a fancy fancy 20 years ago RV to go ahead and look for stuff in the sky to get on television. I'm here to go ahead and communicate and to, raise everybody up, because that's what it's about. It's not about what I think. It is to a degree, but it really comes down to what everybody in the audience thinks. That's why we haven't done it tonight. But usually I've been trying to go ahead and let's check the pulse of the audience. Let's see where the audience thinks about on this to get their feedback, because,
I usually shut people up.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
No, I mean, did I shut them up? I hope they're asking questions.
Oh, they are asking good questions. And yes, Fessler coined the Illuminati. Not Illuminati, well, we've got it, but we could call it the L-U-E-Minati, meaning the people who are just, overly protective of Lou. We've got them. I've also called them the social media militia, because they kind of operate like a militia, that they may have illegally done so in the past, and actually acted as a terrorist organization. So we have to be careful who the people are who are getting behind Lou, the people who are actually going and trying to be out there really vocal on Twitter, because they're aggressive, they're overly vocal, they're trying to shut people up, and really, in some ways, they're almost dangerous.
Yeah, I can see good and bad points on both sides. That's why I just tend to go in with trust no one and wait to see what happens. The X-Files taught me well.
Yeah.
Don't trust anyone until you get proof.
Right.
If you're willing to wait,
Yeah.
and I'm not.
True.
So what do I do? Set myself on fire somewhere?
Larry, hey, at least I can play the super chat music now. We're not talking too much. Where is that at? Let me see if I can.
We have a question for Larry.
We got a super chat coming in for Larry. Larry, is there a hell?
In my opinion, right?
In your opinion, yeah, whatever you think.
It's just my opinion. There was no hell talked about in the Old Testament. It was just Sheol, the abode of the dead, and it didn't have a negative connotation. But in the New Testament, there was a dump in Jerusalem called Gehenna, and that dump was used to burn carcasses and garbage, and everyone brought all their stuff there, and the flames never went out.
Yeah.
And that was the word that Jesus used when he said, "Fear not he who can destroy your flesh," meaning other men, but fear he who can destroy your soul in Gehenna. And that would be God.
Right.
And so we're talking about destruction, not eternal punishment. And the eternal snuck in there because the eternal flames of Gehenna, they never went out.
Yeah.
So like constantly burning, and you're always going to be a pile of ashes there in Gehenna. So that was his warning. You might get destroyed, but there was no concept of, oh, God's going to send you to this place where you're going to be punished forever. I think that's a ridiculous concept.
Yeah. From my kind of little concept here, I'll take it to a different level.
Sure.
As is above, so is below, meaning that the type of energy, the type of things that you do, the person who you are, there's an energy, there's a vibration that kind of goes along with it. When you move on in your different areas, right? Your consciousness is energy, and energy is attracted to like energies. So if you're an evil son of a bitch who's done all these horrible things, doesn't matter if you said, "Oh, I'm sorry, God, I shouldn't have done these things." You're still going to go ahead and be with the types of energy, the types of entities, the type of, polarity that you were in life. You're probably going to be that way in the afterlife. So it's kind of, there's that karma thing they talk about. Well, it kind of goes into, that energy that kind of makes up who we are. So I would see it from that particular perspective, thinking that,
I like that.
But here's the thing. I've been a good person. I've done all these great things. Now, if I were to have to spend all of eternity with the Jehovah's Witnesses, that would be hell.
Right.
I would rather be with the people who I'm like and everything, not just the people who are all, blinders on and only see something from a small perspective.
Well, remember, that's religion. That's not spirituality. That's religion. When you see that kind of stuff,
it's a control complex.
Yeah. I like what you said. And I think, we've heard the life review, right? Like when you die, you get a life review.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very powerful concept. And I think maybe when they say that your whole life flashes before your eyes, that might be part of the life review. I don't know. But I think that I've heard testimony that people say that you get to, in that it's surprising how quickly they can do it. It doesn't take forever. It just very quickly. But what happens is you get to see what the other people felt when you took certain actions in your life.
Yeah.
And that really gives you it really clears so many things up. And I think that if you're, if you need some spanking, maybe there is a place where you get spanked. But I think if you just need that kind of psychological, like going to a therapy session, but it's just done with telepathy.
Yeah.
Then I think that you might end up with some very, very good people that are as lovable as kittens.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what we all will be when we're finally cleared up and forgiven.
Yeah.
And feel like we're forgiving ourselves and that kind of thing. So I want to see us in that state.
I do too. And I've said this a couple times in the past, probably a majority of the people in the audience haven't heard some of this stuff right now. One of the things, before I get there, Thomas Fessler, my son is camping by himself at Pinnacle Peak. He shares the view of the starry sky is beautiful. Absolutely. It's actually when I'm going to work now in the mornings, the 1 day a week that we have to be in the office, leaving the house at 5 o'clock in the morning, you can tell the fall is coming because I was able to go ahead and see Orion and all the stars were just out there so beautiful. And with the convertible, I didn't want to put the convertible top up, which I did before I got to the freeway, just because being able to see the stars out there, and it's always an amazing thing. Now, where the hell was I going? Oh, yeah. With regards to life is finite and that part of life where we hit the end before we move on. When my dad passed, I was just with him for about a week and a half before that, and spent a lot of time, a lot of good contact with him, which let me get really good the resonance of his energy. And when he passed away, I told my family, when he dies, you have to call me day or night and let me know as soon as it happened. And they did. And when he did that, I dropped down to level, which is basically going down, shutting off my body. I went out of body, literally, and I went to frickin' find him. And when I found him, he was there with himself and about 30 other energy. It wasn't like seeing him standing there. It was more of an energy shard kind of, but I knew it was him. And there were all these other people that were around him that were there to celebrate his ascension. Maybe there was his life review or something. And we had like the kind of group of there off to the side. But on the other side of it, there was this, looked like a glass staircase kind of going up curved. Up at the top of it, there was a doorway. But floating off to the side of it was this angelic, beautiful thing that I've never seen anything before. Imagine you've got like a neon outline of something, and wings were flapping, and it wasn't an angel, it wasn't a dove, it wasn't a bird, it wasn't something like we saw as an angel, but it was absolutely freaking beautiful. It was angelic, I would call it. And I got there, and I was seeing my dad, where we were at, and I was like, Dad, you know what? The last 10, 15 years of your life were bullshit. And I know you're getting ready here. You're here to celebrate your ascension with with everybody. Tell you what, take my hand, come with me now. Let's get the hell out of here. I have more than enough space within myself. Let's go. And from there, I'm all of a sudden back in my body, looking out over myself, and I see this blue light body come down and merge with me. And he's been with me every fucking day ever since. And he chimes in every so often. That's why when things need to get fixed on the house, I'm not going to go ahead and, as Gary says, just call a man in. That's what they're for. Let them go ahead and fix it. It's like, no, I've got my dad in me. We're going to go.
We're gay. We have to get a straight man in to fix
I've already
things.
got a straight man in me right now, potentially. So not in that way, but I've got a straight man's consciousness along with me. And he's been with me. And he was just kind of chiming up couple minutes ago, and I just get the energy and the vibration, and everything just kind of goes along with it. And it's something that's you do things and you try to do it until you get in trouble, and when someone says no, then you've gone too far. But I've never had a cup of coffee the same day ever since he's been with me. So it's kind of one of those things. We've got this consciousness, there's this stuff that we totally don't understand. But one of the things that's in the realm of consciousness that since we're in this area, that I've always felt is like negative thoughts manifest negative energy. We have that ability when we're creating things, we're thinking things. It's literally creating negative energy. And what happens is, imagine, you remember we used to go to restaurants a long time ago. They used to have those wheels that they put up, take the stuff that you're buying, and they take it, they stick it up on there, and it would go around in a circle and come around, and the cook would take it down. Imagine you have one of those rings going around your head, and with them are all the thoughts and all the things that are going on in our mind. That negative energy is sticky. It stays around a lot longer, and it also clumps together, which takes that wheel and throws it off kilter and always wants to bring that energy, that negative energy down in our forefront of who we are. So it's kind of like, what was the old saying? Think happy thoughts and something along those lines. It's important because those negative thoughts do have an effect on us. And I know one of the people in our chat has got a mushroom for his kind of piece. One thing they found out for PTSD, for people who are dealing with lifelong trauma and everything else, it isn't about the antidepressants and everything. It's currently about the psilocybin and what it does to our brains and how it actually cures us. And it's actually, it's one of the few matters.
That's why it's against the law.
It's right. It's one of the few things that actually, when people take it, Larry, it actually causes neurogenesis, which is the creation of new connections within our brain. And it also causes the generation of white matter in our brain. So it has a massive effect on all of us that can really help us bring things forward. And that kind of long story gets us into a story coming, or just a little line from Tiny Klaus talking. And there's a story here coming from the CIA reading room saying that negative psychic energy has a gravitational effect upon the level of consciousness. And it's kind of that analogy I just brought up of that ring of, negative psychic energy, or just negative thought, negative energy does have a bad effect. The more you think about it, the more it's there, the more it gets in your face, the more difficult it is to spin around and get it out of you. Any thoughts? That's a bunch of stuff all at once.
Yeah, I do have a couple of thoughts. One is I find that your love with your dad, the way you protected him and talked about the last 10, 15 years of his life was bullshit. And I feel like same with my dad. He suffered a lot towards the end. I don't know what the deal with yours was, but I feel bad about, and I never really knew him that well, but I find that very endearing about you, and it makes you more human. So I always love when you talk about it, and I love also the optimism. I may not look like an optimistic person, but I really am. If you listen to me talk, you see a very serious. I have a resting bitch face, or a resting.
Hold on, I want to try and do something here. Give me one.
Please.
There we go. Now we're both hanging out in the studio together.
All right. The other thought, Thomas, was, let's see, you were talking about negative energy and letting it go. Oh, God, I lost my second thought.
Negative energy causes negative thoughts, and it clumps together, and it stays in your face and everything. That's why the whole thing of think happy thoughts. Yeah. And I was saying that I'm very optimistic about our future. And I guess I never expected to be that way, but now with disclosure starting, I'm getting really excited. And then with the experience that I had where I felt like I made a connection with Jesus, and learning all about this ancient alien technology that's in the Bible, and I can see it so clearly. Oh, by the way, God, the show's going to be over. I don't even have time. I wanted to tell you that I figured out why there is pain in childbirth. And I figured out why in the Bible. Because they're so nice and they don't deserve it? Tell us. I'd love to hear.
It's because we were genetically engineered, and there was many attempts, but they were making our brains larger, where the body didn't really get much larger. And so with a bigger brain, you've got a bigger head. And with the bigger head comes, if you have the same size womb, it's going to hurt like hell. Okay. Now, why would they leave us like that if they're genetic engineers? Can't they just make the womb larger? And that's where I was with this for many years. And I kept asking and asking and asking. And believe it or not, it dropped into my hands from the great Michio Kaku. And he happened to be on this track, and he said that if the womb was made any larger, we wouldn't be able to walk upright. The females wouldn't be able to walk upright. The physics just don't work. So the womb had to be kept pretty much the same size, whereas the head has been made larger. And then, so this is why in the story of Adam and Eve, Yahweh makes it look like he's punishing them for something, which he's not. But he wants them to think that it's a punishment. And so he tells them, because you disobeyed me, I'm going to give you pain in childbirth. I mean, the air horn should go off right there, right? Pain in childbirth? What is that? What does that have to do with what we did? And then this is the only logical solution. So if you take logic as a proof, I've just proved to you that Yahweh was, I mean, that wasn't a malicious lie, but he kind of gave us a reason. I mean, it was a loving thing to do in the sense that if she looked around and looked at other animals and they weren't having the same kind of pain that she was, she would wonder, why do we have so much pain? It doesn't seem right. But now she has an answer. Oh yeah, it's because of what we did in the garden.
Yeah.
So we're being punished, and
it's always that punishment thing, isn't it? It's always that negative kind of a consequence and everything. And it's always there to go ahead and try and use that as a way to manipulate us to. Yeah.
Now, if we were created to be a working race, a slave race, and be subservient, then that would make sense that we're always being, we always have the boot on the heel on our neck, right?
Yeah.
So I think Jesus didn't paint that picture. He wanted us to believe in a loving God, and this idea of punishment was over, but it kind of got twisted. It just crept back in. It crept back in again. The punishment idea.
I hear it. It's just one of those things. What else do we have going on here? What else is Klaus saying? This is just an interesting fact. We're talking about ancient aliens and different stuff. We always think that everything that we discover, right, or everything that we do, we've only done this for the very first time. This is where the first time it became common. Klaus brought out a little tweet 21 hours ago saying archaeologists just found the skeleton of an amputee in Indonesia that's 31,000 years old. It was only 100 years ago that surgical amputation became a medical Western norm.
Only 100 years ago.
Only 100 years ago. So what are they saying here? Buried in a shallow, deep grave within the remote Indonesian cave, archaeologists have found the bones of a young individual they say could rewrite medical history. Using radiocarbon dating techniques, scientists estimated the body has lain undisturbed for 31,000 years inside the Liang Tibo cave in eastern Kalimantan province in Borneo. That's actually where that would be my great uncle, my grandmother's brother was a surgeon in Borneo after World War II, I believe it was, according to a national research published in the journal Nature on Wednesday. So here we keep on saying this is the first time it's become a norm. We've just discovered this, but they've been doing it for 31,000 years. So it really comes down to how much we know, how much we don't know, and just that like I've said a bunch of times, humans like to forget, don't they, Larry? It's not that we don't want to forget, it's just the way our brain works. You take all the technology and everything we have today. We have a cataclysm on the planet, wipes out all of our technology, stirs up the oceans. We got tidal waves everywhere. We don't have pen. We don't have paper. All of our technology is toast. We may have little realms here and there of little pockets of stuff that's left. Majority of humanity is gone. For the information that we have left, how long is it going to take before a majority of everything is forgotten? For those who did survive, maybe a generation or two.
Yeah, and it might be by design. I mean, it could be that the thought, it's coming up recently that maybe there are multiple projects, in a series of them, and that they're all being run by the Greys or the mantids or whatever, mantises. And, there's so many different races that are using Earth as a stage to grow a species, to farm a species, and that's, and with their genetics, plus the native ape.
Yes.
And maybe we're just one of many.
Yes. Quick question, Gary. How long, wait a second. If we turn back the sands of time, I know we're just talking about this about 100 years ago. I have to go ahead and say, yeah, this probably was a bit more, because if you remember the story of the Black Knight that was told in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, amputation.
'Tis but a flesh wound.
Yes. It may have been often for surgical, but it's something that happened on a regular basis. So I just heard the thing. It's only a flesh wound. I had to go ahead and find it. Come on, I'll bite your kneecaps off. Get back here.
That's one of my favorites.
Oh, I know.
My favorite Monty Python thing is the evil bunnies, and I thought that has
It's got
always
things
stuck
like
with me
this.
since I was a kid.
Oh, that's why we got to laugh. That's just me having a good time. Again, trying to be serious about not being serious, which I've always gotten in trouble for doing that.
I love the Big Bang thing I love Family Guy in general, but that Big Bang thing is pretty
Big Bang.
Also,
wait. Here comes another one. Quick, give me your lighter.
The wonders of the universe.
Yes, absolutely. And I need to find, let's see if I can find guest one. Let me bring you up a little bit more. You can join me in the next one. And the other one someone mentioned that was out there. Actually, wait, Gary's there. Oh, we got this now. The other one we found was, you mentioned Jesus enough.
If you look at the bones of a Jesusnosaurus Rex, it's clear by the use of carbon dating that Mountain Dew is the best soda ever made.
And the reason I did this is because there was such a religious turmoil when someone left the channel before. I just had to go ahead and just take some good Family Guy humor, and rather than seeing them on another live stream, let's put them up on a stage and have fun with it. You only live once. So live today like it's the last day of your life, always.
Amen.
Yeah. Oh, what else? Boy, I failed again. Yeah, we're talking about, where's the one here? I had another one. We got Gary Nolan. Okay, there a bunch of talk about remote viewing coming out with regards to remote viewing. There was something that, who was that? Someone was talking about remote viewing. Joe McGonigal. Maybe I didn't get that one. We'll talk about that one tomorrow. Let's get past those that we have cash for tomorrow. This is an interesting thing going about the whole religion kind of speak and everything that's going on. This is a little conversation coming from Avi Loeb talking about on dark matter civilizations and the possibility our universe was created in a laboratory. Let's go ahead and let's just play this little clip here. Everyone loves videos here.
You can imagine a whole dark sector that is completely parallel to the ordinary matter that we have, and it just doesn't interact with anything that...
I just have to pause every so many seconds because, when I showed that video of the, what was it? The mantis the other day, I actually got a copyright strike for that one. Granted, they just went and they wanted the revenue from the show, which is fine. I just clipped it out and they didn't get anything else. But yeah, just not sure exactly where it is, but let's just listen some more. And actually, you know what? Avi Loeb was on, what's his name? Kurt Jamungal from Theories of Everything. So we're going to have to go through that, watch it on the show as well here. And maybe that's what it's from, I'm hoping. Let me just find out where this is from. Oh, this is from Theories of Everything. I've got Theories of Everything. Kurt Jamungal is one of our media partners. They let us go ahead and share as much as we want from the show. So let's just rewind it, watch the whole thing without fear of getting in trouble.
You can imagine a whole dark sector that is completely parallel to the ordinary matter that we have, and it just doesn't interact with anything that is ordinary to us, okay? You can imagine that, and that's what I brought up in my essay. And
No, really, you look marvelous. You really do. I don't know if you guys remember that from Saturday Night Live.
Oh, yes. One of my favorites.
Yes.
Darling, it's better to look good than to feel good.
Exactly.
There are possibilities that we should allow for. This is one of them until we figure out what the dark matter is. Another possibility that we should allow for is we ask what happened before the Big Bang. One possibility is that imagine a civilization that knows quantum gravity and can engineer the birth of a baby universe in the laboratory. So then you ask yourself, what was there before the Big Bang? Well, maybe there were some
Give me a lighter.
entities in lab coats, white lab coats that...
What was there before the Big Bang? Let's just go ahead and do it again.
Oh, wait. Here comes another one. Quick, give me your lighter.
We'll continue. Sorry, it just seemed really appropriate.
Did an experiment that created the Big Bang in their laboratory. Now, what would that be like? It's just like, us giving birth to babies that grow up to become adults that give birth to babies and so forth. So in any universe like ours, there could be intelligent civilizations that develop the technology to give birth to baby universes. And you move from one generation to the next this way. That's just a possibility. I'm not saying, since we don't have a theory of quantum gravity, we should at least allow for that. Because at the moment, we have no clue as to what happened before the Big Bang.
Really great points. Any thoughts on that, Larry?
Oh, so many thoughts, but no answers.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember Avi, former military guy, like everyone else from Israel, but he was military intelligence. Probably still has some ties for that to a degree. So he does try to be tempered to a degree, but my God, sometimes when he goes off into his little areas, he just opens it up and lets it flow.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah. The thing about Avi, I have to say, when we first heard about Umumu and he was talking about it, he said that maybe they deployed a solar sail. And I just thought to myself, Avi, what is wrong with you? If this is extraterrestrial, they're gonna have some form of propulsion that's better than a solar sail.
Yeah.
So I just don't know where he's at, but he's one of the few people in his field that's willing to venture out. So I got to give him props for that.
Here's the thing I just thought of on this one. Just imagine. Now we have this microwave ovens could potentially have come from the discovery of UFOs. Now imagine all they need because they're so advanced and they only need a little bit of energy to do some of the stuff. Imagine if they had nothing more than a microwave oven powering these UFOs, but they just had really great systems that didn't need that much energy for going and doing this.
Yeah.
We always think we need all this phenomenal power to get this energy. Maybe it's something where they don't need so much energy to be generated because it's so freaking clean and so optimized. Good code.
Yeah. Exactly. Good analogy.
Yeah, thanks. And I think before everything gets too late, I want a freaking great conversation with you today, Larry. Let's see if I can get you back in the studio. Wait, let me go ahead and grab you here. Take your name up there with you.
The three of us. Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear.
Where am I at? Let me figure out where I'm at here. Is that me?
Baby Bear's on TikTok right now. Shut up. I'm joking.
We got Thomas. We've got. Let me flip you transition. Let's transform, flip you horizontal. I should have thought of this before.
Let that bitch call
I can't do that. And let's take Gary and put you in the middle. There we go. How about that?
Duck. Family photo.
Gotta have fun with it. Yes, we're in the studio. Welcome to Disclosure tonight. You're hanging out with us live. It's great to have you here. It's been one heck of a great show. we touched on some different areas in religion. It's great to have someone who's, can, walk the walk and talk the talk. And, you've got a lot of great knowledge in the area. That was very impressive. And I appreciate you coming out today, Larry. It was, I saw you in the show the other day. It's like, shit, let's have you on here and have you as a guest. And it's been one heck of a great conversation.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure. And I'll be watching tomorrow night.
Yeah. Tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah.
We do a 2 o'clock p.m. Are you on the East Coast or West Coast?
I'm right south of you on the West Coast. I'm in Oregon.
Oh, Oregon. Yeah, nice. Yeah. We're on neighbors.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking.
You're my rainy neighbor to the north.
Yeah, I'm actually racing to get all my different repairs on the house done before the rainy season starts, and I've got less than a week before it happens, because usually by September 15th is where the weather turns and it gets to rain every day, and I had some rot on some beams on the house. You're a homeowner. I'm sure you'll understand what I'm talking about. There was just something I had to get taken care of, and it was getting bad year after year. So I finally went and started repairing it, and I've got all the beams all put together and all the rot is taken out, all the stuff that was rotted there. I've gone and used hardener to get it there. I've patched the stuff in, and I'm in the final batch of shaping and getting the stuff there, and hopefully after this weekend, we'll get there. Yes, Daryl Zernick, I am a homeowner. Yes, a homeowner. Yes,
homeowner.
My parents used to go to what they would call the homeowners. They call the homeowners association, and I thought it was all these old people getting together to moan about their houses. I didn't realize it was homeowner, and sometimes I'll push words together and just call it a homeowner.
It's like the Jewish wine. Why can't we go to Florida for Christmas?
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. Perfect one. On that note, Gary, great show having you here. Phenomenal time. Hang out until after the show so we can catch up and everything. Gary, do you want to tell us about the super chats?
When we bitch about the audience, it's fun.
No, we're not going to bitch about the audience. Do you want to tell us about the super chats we had today, sir?
Yes, we had X1 Dude, Daryl Zernick twice, and Jenny Whitebear.
Wow, phenomenal support. I think every single penny comes into Disclosure tonight, goes back into the show to go ahead and make sure we're coming together. And hey, this is probably one of the best looking shows between Larry and I right now that are out there on what do you call it, on YouTube. So glad we could everybody to come out here tonight. What a great audience, and I want to thank everybody for the super chats. More importantly, let me go ahead and take this and kick up the music if I can find it. I want to thank everybody for coming out, and especially the great audience we've got going in the chat. We've got one of the best chats, the best chat on YouTube. Such a great conversation. It's great having everybody around. I always keep on saying great, but I really mean it. Let's take a look at who we have in the chat right now. Ack, our producer in the back. Angela G, Austin Kovacs, Cosmic Q Toast, the Daryl Zernick, George Hernandez. Greg O'Brien is here. I didn't even know that. Holy shit. Hey, Greg. Love the shades. Jason Brown, Joseph Syracuse, Justin Galena, Kelly Barot, Magnetic Universe, Mark the True Searcher, Marcus Mandel. Make sure you say hi to Howie for us.